Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a phobia of cockroaches hypnosis session. And cockroaches are one of those things that some people have very, very high intensity levels. They think about where they might be, think about, how to stop them getting into certain areas, and it can lead to a real sense of vigilance and almost a desperate game to kind of second guess where they might be or how to stop them getting into a place. And the problem with that is that cockroaches are very resilient creatures, and in certain parts of the world there's lots of them. So most people that don't have any kind of fear of cockroaches also don't like them. It just doesn't create anxiety. And I was working with a client that had a similar sensation with mice. They weren't worried about mice at all. They didn't want them in their house, but they didn't feel anxious or scared of them. So that became a resource state. And when I used the frame of, imagine if you were an identical twin that never had a fear of cockroaches, she could, in a first-person perspective, imagine taking a cockroach out of their immediate vicinity. So it let me know that there was the ability to access a resource where there wasn't the need to feel anxious, but that it wasn't the default. So you can hear an element of regression and timeline therapy. Timeline therapy is effectively where you update a past event and then imagine from that point all the way to the present and even into the future that they have a different way of dealing with something. And that's specifically with them feeling resourceful around cockroaches, that they could consider them as uninvited guests and have the resources to remove them from their house even if they didn't like them. It's just the absence of anxiety. If you have a fear of any animal, then hypnosis is one of those things that can help and can help quite rapidly. So feel free to click the link in the show notes that will enable you to book a free 30-minute consultation call to explore working with me. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close. As they close, you notice the speed of your breathing, but also how much more you can focus on the sound of my voice. As you breathe in a feeling of relaxation and resourcefulness, and scan your body for any clues of anxiety. Notice the location and just feel that anxiety detaching, melting away, and leaving your body in your outward breath. As you breathe in a sense of confidence, capability, and exhale any worry, any anxiety, any of that anticipatory fear. The deeper you breathe, the deeper relaxed you become. And the deeper relaxed your body becomes, the more your imagination awakens. That's it. Feeling more and more comfortable. Start to release any tension in your forehead, around your mouth and jaw. Just loosen those muscles. Eyebrows, eyelids, just feeling limp and loose and relaxed. That's it. Really focus on all of those muscles that are connected from your ears to your chin, around your neck, and just make a decision to release the tension, to loosen those muscles. That's it, to feel deeper and deeper relaxed. I want you to use the power of your imagination to remember a time when you were a child and perhaps you saw a mouse for the very first time. Keep yourself at your current age, but imagine time traveling all the way back to see a child, seeing with this small, fast creature running around. And I want you to see a child smiling, perhaps imagining that this small animal is cute and friendly. And if you could imagine seeing that memory of an early interaction with a mouse that was positive in some way, let me know by nodding your head. And perhaps you can remember a time when there was the first interaction with a cockroach. And I want you to imagine observing that memory, not in your own body, just observing it as if you're watching what happened. I want you to come to the conclusion that because one of your early experiences with the mouse was positive and funny, that sowed a seed of an idea that these things don't belong in a home, but you can be unbothered, unworried. But perhaps those early interactions with the cockroach were undesirable in some way. And if you could imagine seeing things similar to how they were back then, let me know by nodding your head. But I want you to imagine rewinding that very first memory and replacing it with a first interaction with a cockroach, leaving you with a very different feeling. No anxiety, perhaps curiosity. These strange-looking creatures, like little aliens. I want you to imagine a different first experience, so that a different seed was planted in your mind, that even if you don't like them, even if you find them disgusting, they don't bother you. And when you've replaced that very first childhood memory with a more useful one, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to follow that timeline. Go forwards in time, perhaps to the next time you encountered a cockroach, and have that be, if not a positive memory, then simply a neutral one. Feel that you are updating a timeline to replace everything as it was with new experiences where you simply feel unbothered. If someone on that timeline was to say that they saw a cockroach nearby your home, you could imagine saying, "So what? It's just an animal." So follow that timeline and start to update every significant event in your life with a cockroach with a more useful alternative. You're getting older, and more you have evidence that you don't like cockroaches. They don't bother you too much. Each time you update a memory to make it somehow more useful, there is no worry or anxiety attached to them. Just let me know by nodding your head. And then continue the timeline. Perhaps to maybe 5 years ago. Just imagine the entire timeline up to 5 years ago was just neutral or perhaps even positive experiences with cockroaches. I want you to imagine how things would be different if you were always unbothered. That a cockroach was just as meaningful to you as a frog, a snail, or a mouse. Because any of those things could be an uninvited guest. But just because an animal is uninvited doesn't make it dangerous and doesn't make it a cause of anxiety. Just a minor problem to solve. So imagine all the way up to the present moment, every interaction with a cockroach, you found yourself unbothered, unfazed, unflappable. Perhaps you can even update memories so that if there ever were one or more cockroaches in your home, given that there was no anxiety, you could imagine scooping them up in a box and taking them far enough away from the house they would never return. Imagine that all the way up to the present moment. And then start to imagine a future. And then imagine a future where for a long time, maybe 2, 3, 4 years, you have been unfazed, unbothered by any cockroach at all. I want you to imagine seeing a future version of yourself dealing with a situation in a cool, calm, composed way. Maybe there's a cockroach in your kitchen, in your garden, in your lounge, but see that future version of you, unfazed, unbothered, pragmatic, acting in a very similar way, as if it was a mouse. Uninvited, and therefore needs to be removed. And I want you to see this future version of you with a facial expression that's relaxed, with a body language that is composed, and see that future version of you pragmatically, effortlessly, removing a cockroach, dead or alive, maybe in a humane way, so that the uninvited guest is no longer anywhere close to you, not because you're afraid, but simply because you're choosing not to have them close by. As you imagine seeing that future version of yourself, step into that future version of you. Feel how it would feel to see a cockroach, dead or alive, and feel unfazed as you deal with the issue just as easily as you would to remove a frog, a snail, or a mouse from wherever you are. And if you could imagine doing that with zero anxiety, perhaps just a little bit of disgust, but no anxiety, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. As you think back to your past, imagine a past where cockroaches never bothered you. As you imagine the future, imagine a future where you can see yourself doing things that give you evidence that your phobia of cockroaches is no more. And let's now imagine the present being different. As you imagine the very near future, perhaps tomorrow or the day after, just imagine observing yourself, perhaps just 2 or 3 days from now, seeing a cockroach and deciding that you will treat it in the same way as a mouse. See yourself with a new belief system. They have no agenda. They're not looking to harm you. I want you to start seeing cockroaches as creatures that just ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. It was bad luck that they ended anywhere close to you. And while some people would choose to be perhaps cruel or just decide to kill the cockroaches, I want you to see that future version of you that deals with the cockroach in a pragmatic but humane way. And if you could imagine the near future where you see yourself resourceful, pragmatic, dealing with a cockroach very similar to a mouse, let me know by nodding your head. And then step into that version of you. Feel how you would feel if from this point forwards, cockroaches were just uninvited guests that managed to find themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you will help them to get to a place far away from you, but without causing them harm. And as you imagine doing that, not just once, twice, but on 3 different occasions, feel that you're building a new belief system, that you don't like cockroaches, but that you're not scared of cockroaches. They are just uninvited guests, and you will help them to find a place far enough away from you so you don't have to see them or hear them. Allow your mind to imagine that all the way from being a child to the present moment, memories are being updated as you imagine what it would be like to have always been resourceful, always be unbothered, always be unfazed, in the same way that you always were with mice. I want you to imagine perhaps what would have happened several years ago if you had a cat that instead of bringing mice into the house brought cockroaches in, but you felt confident enough to always get them out. After you've done that so many times, wouldn't you build a belief system that you wouldn't need to think about cockroaches, because you would know with 100% certainty that whenever they're in your home, you can remove them. In the same way that you don't have to think about tying a shoelace. You just know that if it ever comes loose, you can tie it when you need to. Allow your unconscious mind to start believing that you don't need to anticipate or think about the whereabouts of a cockroach. Once you firmly believe that if they happen to be close by, you could either remove them to be further away or remove yourself to be further away. Either way, it requires very little of your thoughts, emotions, or attention. Imagine going forward 20 years, and imagine 20 years of not having any fear or anxiety of cockroaches. 20 years of feeling like they just didn't bother you at all. And then imagine 20 years from now being in your home and a cockroach has got lost, found its way in your home. And just imagine how easy it would feel to find an old cereal box, scoop it up, and take it far away from your home. And if that feels achievable, perhaps even easy, let me know by nodding your head. And with that in mind, it's time to return to the present, taking these new frameworks, new thoughts, new ideas with you. Cockroaches were never the issue. It was the meanings and associations, most of which were never true, that caused the problem. As you start to laugh now, as you think of any ideas of them trapping you, harming you, as just an overactive imagination that now seems silly, as these are just low intelligence creatures without agenda, without motives, simply scavenging for whatever they can find nearby. And if you ever move them, they will just scavenge in whatever area you drop them off. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect fully with the present moment. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken feeling resourceful, confident, with a sense that from this point onwards, you're willing to treat a cockroach no different from any other uninvited guest. Willing to move them further away so they can get lost or scavenge somewhere else. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.